So, hi guys, I'm with Clark right now. I'm gonna go to a couple questions, just start to break the ice a little bit. I want to bring back this podcast slash YouTube content where we go over certain questions about coaching, about training, trying to communicate as much information we have possible out there. So, I'm gonna cut to the chase right away. Clark, you want to hit me with our first question today?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think most of our questions are towards the people who are looking to start training. Maybe you guys have a few questions, or you guys need a little motivation to start. So basically, the first question would be like after coaching hundreds of people, not everybody succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a perfect
Fortunately.
yeah. And others failed, definitely. But for the people who are looking to start their journey, what would be one of the best advice you could give?
Okay, I'll try to break it down into two sections, like one like from the client's perspective, and the other one from like maybe coaches who are coaching clients, like either at the beginning or new clients or new coaches as well. So I think the first thing I say that all the time. I feel redundant. I feel like a lot of people already know this, but still it has to be reiterated, which is you cannot start too hard too strong. Like most people, there's a pattern. People who are like, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym. Like, what is it that we need? Like 6 days a week. Okay, I'm gonna train 6 days. How much calories do I need to eat? 1,000. Okay, I'm gonna eat 1,000 calories. I'm gonna cut all my carbs, and then go all in, all out. And usually that doesn't last long. It causes like either a burnout or a crash, or just like it leaves a bad taste in your mouth as to the experience, and you feel like it's too hard to get results, and honestly it doesn't really have to be. Okay, so I think starting at a moderate pace is super important from a coach's perspective. I think giving flexibility to your client. We have improved and optimized our approach a lot over the years. I've been guilty of like really micromanaging nutrition for clients when they're like working 10-hour days, they have kids, they have errands, they're so busy, and then trying to tell them you have to eat at that time, these kind of foods, like all this we've left behind now. We kind of work around what the client can do, what they can consume, and we just try to optimize that. It's really starting from the client's perspective. So if you're your own client and you want to know where to start, we'll start from where you are right now and just like try to improve one or two things and improve and improve. Like a side note, like protein intake. We all know that like in general cases, more protein is better than less protein. So if you can go in for 1 gram per pound body weight, it's awesome. Sometimes a little more complicated than that, but still like 1 gram per pound of body weight is a great place to start. Well, some people come to me and they weigh 200 plus pounds and they're eating 70 grams of protein daily. So I could be like, well, we're going to start at 1 gram per pound of body weight. That means I'm going to have to make them introduce 140 grams of protein a day, 130 that they were not consuming already. And that's like taking them from A and trying to bring them to like Z. And it's too much of a shock overnight. So I think telling them going from 70 to 90, it's kind of already an improvement. It might not be optimal, but it's great. Another point is like I talk about having flexibility is important, so giving client room to wiggle with. But I notice with some people having too much flexibility is also setting them for failure sometimes. People like structure, so you need a plan. You need, even though you don't want to start too hard too fast, you still need to set some guidelines and some structure in order to succeed. Otherwise, it's chaos. And like really rarely people are going to be doing well when they have zero structure. Like people need to be held accountable and need to be told what to do to a certain extent. So that's important. Last thing I'll say is add instead of remove. So if you are in a situation where like you're dealing with a smoker or you're a smoker, you can tell them don't smoke, it's not good for you. Most smokers are aware of that. But if you tell them introduce more veggies because it will help you improving your micronutrients, and go outside for a run every day or pick up some weights, get some activity in. Well, that's improving their health despite knowing that they're also doing something to harm it, but it will help them eventually want to let go cigarette on themselves because at some point it'll be limiting their progress, and they're aware of it. So I think it's part of the process. Okay, so this is a very packed question, the first one, and I wanted to elaborate a little bit more, but it's a very good question.
Okay, so we'll follow that. We'll support that question. So with another one, like if you mix for people who've never done anything before, who've never dieted, who've never trained, it could get overwhelming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, you always just want to add. You start somewhere, with a small step.
Mm-hmm.
So
Brick by brick.
yeah, brick by brick. Yeah, and so if a person would either want to start with training or nutrition,
Okay.
which one should they rather do?
Oh, you're
No.
fucking hitting me with the fourth question, eh? You
Yeah.
send me a low ball like that. The last one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I felt like it would have been. It's
It's a nice follow up.
Yeah, it's a nice follow up.
Okay, perfect, cool. I wasn't expecting that. So for this question,
Yeah.
what I had in mind is for sure training, right? Like you're asking if you can only pick one.
For now, like people
Yeah,
wanna start-
that's it. Like you're starting, you're overwhelmed. You're like, I gotta either diet or like I understand. For most people, it's like okay, well, training and nutrition together is great, and
Mhm.
for certain people, like their attention is very limited, their will is very limited. They gotta pick one. Let's say they gotta pick one. Well, they should pick training.
Mhm.
I think training is better. Again, like we say, add instead of removing, right? So
Yeah.
add activity instead of removing calories.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
removing calories comes at a cost. Comes at a cost of also removing nutrients, also removing energy, also removing recovery. So going into a deficit phase is not, it seems like the most intuitive thing to do, but it's not really the best thing to do.
Mhm.
The greatest example is you, right? Like in your own personal journey, since we've been back on track since post-pandemic or whatever, post-lockdown, we've never put you in a deficit.
Definitely, yeah.
Have you lost body fat?
Yeah.
A shit ton.
Mhm.
Have you recovered strength?
Mhm.
Have you recovered muscle?
Mhm.
A shit ton. And why is that? Because we put you on maintenance, right? We didn't go for a deficit, even though it was the most intuitive thing to do. You were carrying more body fat after being, locked down for so many months. But now you're in a much better shape, potentially one of the best shape of your life. And it's really because we've kept calories at maintenance and we've added more training, more progress, more recovery, and optimize your whole journey. So training, I think, picking up physical activity is going to be the first thing that somebody should put their effort on. That's what's going to bring the most bang for your buck.
Yeah.
If you can combine this with like reducing takeouts, Uber Eats, and alcohol, well, it's not that hard to remove these things, right? Just eating more food, even though you're not tracking, but eating more home food and avoiding the obvious things like alcohol as much as you can, or limiting it. That definitely will enhance even more, okay, your training.
Okay.
Cool.
So training is a good place to start.
Yeah.
But if you start training and you just keep your diet the way it is, you can only get certain results for like a certain amount of time.
Yes.
When should they start incorporating diet?
Okay, so when these questions, you have to approach it with a very nuanced approach, right? So it's not going to be the same for everyone. I think when you start feeling like you've exploited as much as you could out of the potential of your training, it's the same thing with if we take training on its own, you're doing 3 hours a week of training, and then at some point your weights are getting heavier, you need more rest, your muscle can handle more volume, so you add more exercises, and then your sessions become super dense, and then it's like, okay, that 60 minute is spilling into a 90 minutes, but I don't have 90 minutes. What can you do? Add a fourth session, right? So I think it's the same thing with when should nutrition come into play. It's when you feel like, in your case, for example, you've recovered a lot of muscle mass, you've made tremendous progress since we've been eating at maintenance, but at some point, if you're not going to be continuously losing body fat at a moderate pace if you're just eating at maintenance. At some point we decide we're going to be leaner or we want to cut, then we're going to have to introduce dieting. So in your case, it's maybe a couple weeks, a couple months down the line. Right. In someone who's a novice, it would be when they start feeling like either they've taken a grip on training, right? Like it's like, okay, now it was hard at the beginning to introduce training. Now it's like I'm coasting. I can start focusing on my nutrition.
Yeah.
Or like first scenario, I'm training, but I don't feel like I'm getting in as much as I used to. Therefore, I need to start tackling nutrition as well.
All right. Yeah, definitely. That's a good one. So, like, once you start getting comfortable with your training, because you want it to be a part of your lifestyle, right? So, like, after a few weeks, you start getting used to it. Like, you know, like going to the gym isn't even as hard as the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, like
you know your way around it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that would be the perfect time to introduce nutrition. All right. So, since we're talking about nutrition and training, you know, a lot of people think those are the best formula for succeeding in your fitness journey, right? But what are the other things that people should never take for granted? You know, like things that could help them even more, you know?
Yeah. Sleep, stress, big fucking deal. So definitely sleep. You know, I've always been a big junk on sleep and a big fan of what it can do for you. Not always getting as much as I wish, but if you're limited on sleep, at least you can optimize it. If you're limited on how long you can sleep or you can sleep better, there's always a way to improve that. So sleep, big plus. I think I had done for fun like a bit of quick Google research, trying to find any disease that isn't linked to sleep deprivation. It's very hard to find. Like sleep deprivation can just cause so much shit in your body that it's one of the things you should worry about the most. And stress, I see a lot with my private session clients. Like they are doing super well, their nutrition's on point, you know, they're consistent with their training, but then they get one bad fucking day at work and they're drained and the session goes to shit. Like progress is not linear like it normally is. So what I notice is that especially when it comes to like mental stress, you know, the anxiety type of stress, not like I worked for 12 hours so I'm tired from working. Like you could work for 16 hours and if it's stress free, like still squeeze a little workout. Like I don't recommend it, but I think you'd be able to. But if I have people who work 8 hours, but it's so stress packed that they can't even like perform in their workouts. So I think like it's not an easy thing to get rid of because life is unpredictable. But if you can learn to manage it, or learn to walk into the gym not letting this affect you, like trying to put it in a box, and then coincidentally training helps improving stress, right? Like reducing stress. So like remaining active is going to help even though you need to auto-regulate your performance. It's important. So sleep, stress. You said training and nutrition. I don't know if like you would count cardio as training, but cardio is important. More and more, even for someone who's like not trying to lose weight. You know, I think introducing a certain form of physical activity or at least a baseline level of cardio can really enhance everything else.
And that's what I always tell other people too, like people who just want to start with something small, cardio, you know, like you could even take like 30-minute walk, start with that, you know, you know, like try to do it 3-4 times a week. You know, you just don't be overwhelmed. Now, once you start getting comfortable with that, then maybe start going to the gym. You know, like I always tell people, if you want to do it, make it a lifestyle change. You know, like why would you just want to do it for 3 months? You know, why would you just want to be healthy or look good for 3 months? Why not do it long term? You know what I mean, it's just gonna benefit you. It's not gonna hurt you.
That's it. It's like there's no expiration date on how long you need to work to get better, and like you said, you once you get there, let's say you have your goal, let's say you get to your goal, like you're not gonna stop training because first of all you gotta maintain. Yeah, you can reduce, but you're not gonna stop, and chances are you're gonna get there and you're gonna want more. So it's better to think of it more as like milestone along the journey rather than the end goal.
All right, so we'll go on.
I think the question 2 is
question 2.
I think that's the last one, right?
That's the last one. And going back, so this is for the people who has no patience. Okay, they just
like most people.
Yeah, they just want to get the results fast. But you know, like going back to the first questions, you've trained with hundreds of people, so like it's very different. It's subjective, right? Like some people might get better results in 3 months. Some might take 6 months, depending.
Yep.
Some people work harder than others. Some people have more time than others.
Yeah.
Right. But in average, how long does it take for an individual to see results?
So we all know that the first time you get new results, it takes always longer than the second time. So of course, like people who come back to me either post-pandemic, like old clients, or people who were athletes a couple of years back, who were active and now lost it, and then just like temporarily, like when I say temporarily, like a couple of months, couple of years, gained some excess weight. These people are usually fast transformation, and I really do my best as I can to like mention it when I make posts or things like that about clients that have crazy transformation, because they have a background of already like getting their body ready, and that's why it was so fast. So I don't try to sell the quick fix and the rapid results, but I'm gonna say one thing that is almost across the board with all my clients: every 3 months. I don't know why 3, there's no research on that. It's just a pattern that I've noticed over the years, but every 3 months people tend to have the most notable progress. And I wrote this as I was preparing, like it's not a like for 3 months you feel like you're making zero progress, and then one day you wake up and you're like, holy shit. It's literally like that. For 3 months you feel you're going nowhere, and there's this one morning you wake up and you're like, whoa, how far I've come. That's why like I'm big on progress pictures. Clients are always scared. They're like, okay, but like I'll take it myself, or you're not gonna post this. And like I never post without asking, but I love taking those pictures, because sometimes it's like I have clients, it's like a 6 pounds difference on the scale, but then you look at the pictures next to each other and like, what the fuck, what happened there, So I think 3 months is a keyword. So wherever you are in your journey, if you're like in the first 45 days and you feel like you're wasting your time, because 45 days sounds like a lot, but it's really just a month and a half, and then you're wondering if you should keep pushing, go push another up to 90 days and see what happened, because that's where the magic happens. And it's like that every 3 months. Every 3 months, like, oh wow, every time. I always notice.
Yeah, and I noticed too, for individuals, it's hard to see the results yourself.
Yeah.
Fine. That's why progress pictures are very important.
Yeah.
It's like, even looking back, I actually never taken a progress picture with my results. Like when we had our check-in yesterday and you showed me the difference, and I was like, I was shocked. Yeah. Because I see myself every day and I'm just like, I feel better. I know I'm getting better, but those differences, you don't really see them until you take a picture, put them side by side, and walk.
Like, damn. And one thing is that like bringing it back to you is like, between those two pictures, a couple pound difference. Because like I mentioned, you were not in a deficit. So we're not even trying to change your body weight, right? It's purely body composition changes, and it's very significant, That's why, like, I also mentioned this point. That's why we love training. That's why we love lifting weights, because how fast does it take to see progress in the gym?
How fast?
Yeah, how long does it take?
In the gym, it takes a while.
No, but I mean, like you lift 10 pounds today. How much are you gonna lift next week?
A little bit more than that.
A little bit more than that, exactly. So you'll be lifting 12 pounds.
Yeah.
Well, 12 pounds is progress. And the week after, maybe 15.
Yeah.
And the week after, maybe 15 again, but now you're doing 10 reps instead of 8, right? So,
you're right.
So you're constantly making progress in the gym, and that's why we love training, and that's why we like tracking training, because maybe the scale is not fucking like giving you anything that you want, no gratification, it's just bullying you into telling you you're fat, and then you go to the gym, you're like, well, fuck, I'm strong, or I'm stronger, I'm better, my technique is flawless, I'm just like pushing more weight, pushing more volume, like my stamina is better, and all these things are like what we should cling on, honestly, because that's what we train to be better, and the greatest feedback to get that you're improving is your performance in the gym. So it's another reason why it's important.
And that's true. And a lot of people think we're so obsessed, like writing down our numbers.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of that's a good way to be able to stick in the gym for a good amount of time or for long term, because every time you go to the gym, you have a goal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's good to go to the gym. You know what you're doing. You have all your workouts written down. You have all your numbers written down, and you know that, oh, I gotta beat this number. I gotta add 2 more reps than this. Versus just going to the gym and, you know, you're driving to the gym and you're like, I think today I'm gonna do chest.
Yeah.
You know, like you have no plan, and I think it's hard to keep on going that way because like you have no plan. You're just like, oh, what's the purpose of you going to the gym?
What's the purpose?
That's why we're so obsessed on like writing down the numbers, and it just makes us super excited. You know, like tomorrow I'm going to the gym and like, I'm gonna crush it. You know, like that's it.
And honestly, like I know some clients are into it big time, and I mean their progress shows. And I have clients who are not really getting into it, and honestly, like they're gonna be the ones who tend to skip their sessions or not really take it seriously or not get super involved in. And everybody makes progress at the beginning, but there's a breaking moment where you need to be more thorough to make progress. And I'll finish with that. Like obviously, like we're exposed to so much information on social media, and like I follow other great coaches that I look up to, mentors even, and there's this back and forth constantly about should you track with Gen Pop clients? Is it really important? And honestly, like I tend to look up to a lot of coaches and like try to see like their opinion, but this is one opinion that I will never agree with. It's that like tracking is not that important for a general population. I think it's fucking important for anyone. And one of the reasons that one post I had seen mentioned is like, if you come back to your next session and don't perform like you did, it might make you less motivated, or like you know, it might just crush you, and then you know you'll have this like unrealistic expectations out of yourself, and clearly these people don't know about the PSI. Right?
Yeah.
Because the PSI is the system that I created, and it does exactly cater to that. You know, it will force you to get better, but always at a moderate pace. And it will clearly like there's rules in the PSI. If you match volume, there's things you can do to bypass that. Like there's always a way. So even if you're a Gen Pop client, and first of all, why giving so fucking much importance to like not performing all the time? Like we know that you shouldn't perform all the time, so why would you let that affect you? So anyway, that's a rant, but all this to say that tracking is good. I love tracking, you love tracking, we all do.
And I think that would be a good subject for our next podcast. Maybe a PSI for those who are a bit more advanced.
Yeah.
And you know, who would want to know how that works, because it's really a game changer.
It's a game changer.
Alright, so, and I don't know where we're going to be posting this. We could also probably take a few questions from you guys.
Yeah.
Maybe if you post it in TSTF, you guys could comment a few questions. We'll grab a few that we can answer for our next podcast. And you know, that's a good start for those who just want to start their journey. And you know, just stick to it. Like,
don't quit.
Yeah, the first part, the beginning is the hardest. But after a few weeks, you start getting used to it, and then it's going to be part of your lifestyle, and then that's it.
One sentence I like is, it's a slow process, but quitting doesn't make it go faster. Simple as that, you know? So one day at a time.
Alright.
Thanks, bud.